The Elf Reincarnation arc is one of the greatest arcs in the shonen demographic, and I could talk about why here, but that's not what this video is about. This video is just about explaining the crazy amounts of foreshadowing and setup that Yuki Tabata did to make the Elf Reincarnation arc such a good arc. This isn't me saying that the foreshadowing and setup is the only thing that makes the Elf Reincarnation arc good, it's just saying it's one aspect of it that's done really well, and I'm gonna talk about it here. Now, I made this weird chart, or whatever I want to call this. It pretty much just details all the foreshadowing and setup that Yuki Tabata did throughout the entire story for multiple different reveals and plot twists. I'm supposed to do the entire series, I kinda just went a little overboard. I'll take most of the stuff out and just leave the stuff with the Elf Reincarnation arc. If you can't understand this, it's fine, it's just meant for me to understand. Most of the things that have been set up I wrote in little bullet points, pretty much just summarizing what they are. Hey, before we start, please like and subscribe, and I guess we can start now. First thing I wanted to talk about was the whole William and Patry sharing a body thing. It's not just William and Patry, it's multiple different people. It's just, we first see it with William and Patry. You can't really talk about William and Patry sharing one body without talking about the other people with two souls in one body, because they're kind of connected. The foreshadowing for other people having two souls in one body kind of reinforces William and Patry also having two souls in one body. The first instance we see of William being shady as shit is like from chapter 2, where he seems to know what Asta's grimoire is or is from. The only people that know that information are the Eye of the Midnight Sun. Like, Patry literally tells Asta where the swords in the grimoire are from. He doesn't tell him the full story, he just says they're not his and that they belong to someone else. Now, William doesn't tell the other characters that he might know what Asta's grimoire is or where it comes from. He just says it in his head so the audience knows, but the characters don't. That's a little bit of dramatic irony, I guess. But yeah, William's been a shady motherfucker since chapter 2. So after the arc with Magna's hometown, the village, we see some dude in a Golden Dawn's cloak gathering stones talking to the bad guys of that arc. During the Royal Capital Assault, before Fuegoleon gets his right arm, left arm, whatever, his arm taken. Before that shit goes bye-bye, Fuegoleon literally recognizes who the guy who's about to fuck him up is. When they were having the whole traitor meeting, William arrives, and after the meeting, after everything's done there, William leaves. Well, all of them leave. Raya, transforms back into himself, literally telling the audience to guess who he was. At the time in that chapter, they didn't show us who he turned back from. They just said he was there just as someone else. Even in a very shady way, he states he wants Yuno to get stronger. We also know that Yuno had two souls in one body. We know that the elves can feel the separate souls in each body. And the biggest one pretty much just telling us that William is essentially just tied to the elves is Yami saying that their ki feels similar. He says that their magic is different, but their ki is the same. That makes sense because they're in the same body. They share their same body, so of course the ki feels the same. Beautiful part about this is that he says it when William unmasks himself, and he pretty much just doesn't look like Patry at all. Patry does say they were gonna use the magic stones to get their bodies back, which pretty much just tells us that something's up with their bodies. As for the other characters having multiple souls in one body, Patry tells Ghosh that he's sorry for what he did to him. He's not actually talking to Ghosh, he's talking to the soul inside Ghosh. Artists didn't know that. Yami just thought Ghosh and him were friends. Right as he says, Patry in that instance, after Ghosh asks him what he's talking about when he said sorry to him, he just says you will see, because two souls in one body. Another one is when Fana's reincarnation spell was about to get dispelled, she had two different memories from two different perspectives, I guess. Showed us elf Fana's memories and human Fana's memories. Also, when Language is spazzing out during the tournament arc. During the Royal Knight exam, he tapped into a little bit of the elf's powers. They even compared it to Fana going fucking crazy. No, she was going crazy with her demon eye, which ties into Zagreus the devil and a bunch of other shit. Well, not a bunch of other shit, that's kind of just it. Yeah, now let's talk about the Black Bolts. There being multiple Black Bolts even in this arc pretty much just is foreshadowed by Yami, because he says there's multiple members, they out there doing whatever the fuck. He says that right as Asta meets the Black Bolts for the first time. In this silhouette right here, we see Henry. We also see Henry walking around in Vanessa's flashback. This doesn't really tie into the Elf Reincarnation arc, but we do see Grey walking around right after Asta got paid for the first time in her original form. It's in the background and they don't show her properly, but she's still there. That doesn't really have anything to do with the Elf Reincarnation arc, but Nero being Secre does. Nero first shows up in chapter 2 on top of Asta's fucking head. And every single time before the Elf Reincarnation arc, when an arc ends, she always collects the magic stones. She's always the one doing it. Even before they knew that the magic stones were important, she's still the one that kept collecting them. When Yuno and Asta were about to fight Licht, she pecked Asta on the head trying to tell him something. We know she was involved with the whole elf genocide thing 500 years ago. I don't think she knew Licht personally. She definitely knew he existed. She saw him. Forget that there was a Wizard King statue on top of the demon head and no one questioned why anyone would build a statue there. That statue has a grimoire with a design on it. Every single time we see it with like deep holes where you could like, put the magic stones inside it. Charmi having two different magical attributes and being a half-dwarf. Every single time you see Charmi using her magic in like an angry way, sheep take on the eyes of the wolf. And the dude that Charmi fought in the water temple, one of Veto's goons, he says that there's something hiding in Charmi's sheep when he's scared of her. We know that Tabata got involved with the anime. In the anime, her sheep literally eats that witch girl's magic. The wolf's magical attribute is, food magic. He eats magic. And Charmi, without being transformed as sheep, cook magic. They're not the same thing. Julius coming back to life, dude. I mean, in the anime, they do state that this man has the power to steal the future. He can rewind his wounds. When he died, the symbol on his head, it disappeared. That was foreshadowed the entire time, it was something that Yugi Tabata set up. Of course, other things come into Julius not dying. Of course, Lucius would not let Julius die. Like, come on, bro. Zagrid being the mastermind behind everything the entire time. Well, Zagrid didn't tell the humans to murder the elves. They already didn't like them. All he did was give them information and the tools to do it. We already know that Zagrid was manipulating things in the background the entire time. When Veto went demon mode and he got his eye, Zagrid talks through him, saying, "You managed to call me out to Noel and the other guys." And Veto starts using demon magic. In the anime, he speaks in the same language that Zagrid does whenever he's activating it.
Mythical beast magic. Word so magic.
Spells. And when Veto uses spells, he has like the demon language around the runes of his demon spells. The same language that Zagrid uses in the manga whenever he speaks in that language. You can see it in the speech bubbles. It's also the same language in his grimoire that used to be Patri's, and the same language in Asta's grimoire. As well as the elves not knowing the full story about what happened in the past. Humans of this era, 500 years after the elf massacre, don't know. They've just been fed stories about how the elves were like these fucking evil people that wanted to blow up the world, I guess. Of course, the humans didn't know that elves existed because they were a dead race from like 500 years ago. Of course, the stories that were told to the humans from this era are extremely altered and biased towards the humans because all most of them saw was a giant demon emerging from the place where the elves lived. Most humans were either afraid of the elves or didn't know much about them, so why exactly would they paint the elves in a good light or even know anything about them? Why would the royals tell them that they murdered the elves and took their magic? And of course, the elves didn't know what happened. They only know a part of the story. All they know is that the humans stole their magic and light magic killed them, which was the magic of the first Wizard Kings. Well, they thought it was the magic of the first Wizard Kings. That's why they kept talking about him betraying them. Lumiere and Tetia were the only ones that knew that that wedding was taking place on the human side, so they thought that they sold them out. Well, at least just Lumiere. They didn't know that Zagrid orchestrated all of this. They didn't know that Zagrid gave them the tools and the information so they can essentially do what they've wanted to do this entire time. So Patrick didn't know why he looked like Licht. He just assumed that he was chosen. Even like Draw, that dude that's in Ghosh's body, he asks him why he looks like Licht and Patrick just doesn't know. Well, after the Zagrid reveal, we figured out that it was Zagrid that made him look like Licht. It was Zagrid that made him awaken first and reincarnate first, so he can think that he's like this fucking chosen being. So yeah, that's everything that I noticed, all the foreshadowing, the setup, the whatever, that goes into the elf reincarnation arc to make it so good. Well, one of the things that makes it good. The entire series is pretty much just filled with these moments, little foreshadowings and whatnot, to tell you what's coming later down the line, and it's fucking amazing. This was all just about the elf reincarnation arc. Obviously, I've said that a lot throughout this entire video. Yeah, please like and subscribe. I will see you guys later, and bye!
hula, hula, hula.